All right, so time and time again, Trump promises his base no more wars, less foreign intervention, and an America First focus. Yet time and time again, he does the exact opposite, and they keep falling for it. Critics now say his imperialistic approach is a defining feature of his second term, with Greenland, a self-governing nation within the Kingdom of Denmark, just the very latest example. This morning, Trump announced on Truth Social that starting February 1st, Denmark and 7 other European nations will face a 10% tariff on every product sent to the U.S. due to their opposition to American control of Greenland. Those tariffs would jump to 25% on June 1st. Meanwhile, thousands of protesters in both Greenland and Denmark took to the streets to denounce Trump's tariff threat, as well as his attempt to take over Greenland. Christina Greer and Susan Del Percio are both back with us. So can we dispel the notion of America First as like a governing philosophy and ideology of Donald Trump? I mean, this is a person who shapeshifts what America First means.
I don't think it was ever American First for Donald Trump. It was me first.
Fair enough, but he convinced millions of voters that he was going to be
anti-intervention.
That he was anti-intervention. He campaigned on no more new wars.
Listen, I agree with the messaging. I was just being perhaps.
No, fair enough. No, I agree with you, but I guess because you are a Republican whisperer, do people in the Republican Party at different levels feel that they have been conned by a man who campaigned on a promise to end wars, no more military intervention, spoke out clearly against regime change, only now to bomb countries and threaten European allies and not even rule out the threat of attacking NATO members?
Oh, absolutely. There's no question.
They feel they've been conned.
Yeah, there is a group of people. That's what happened. Trump put together one of the craziest coalitions of people. Like, he had something for everyone. And sometimes they were at odds with each other. But that's what happened. So you have, like, when he bombed Iran. Now, you could be for it, against it, whatever, but there were certainly Tucker Carlson, for example, went ballistic. You had a lot of influencers, no pun intended, sorry. But you had other people from that coalition being like, "How could he do this? He promised not to do it." They don't love everything that he's doing for Israel. Now you're also going to have, if you're looking at Greenland, I think that's actually where the mainstream Republicans start to really lose it, because if he does anything like that, if he goes into Greenland, he's destroyed NATO. That's what's at the table. Now, you don't have to. It doesn't have to be with a bomb that you do that. It doesn't mean you turn your back on NATO. Just going and trying to take over another country. Oh, wait, he did that earlier this month, didn't he? Venezuela. Like, once you do that, you blow up the whole alliance. So that will have huge ramifications that I think more from the moderate side. So this coalition that he put together, he really, going back to what I said earlier, it's all about him, and he doesn't care. He wants to see what he can do. He is not trying to use this as a great policy-wise. And by the way, you know who's going to have a real problem with this policy in Greenland? Are Republicans up for re-election, because it may go 10% may go in 21st or initially, but on June 1st, 25% tariffs. Guess what? That's going to blow everything up for those Republicans. Well, that's why we have
lawmakers who are traveling to meet with officials in Denmark to try to make things up. But the truth is, one of the things Donald Trump has kind of done is expose how little Congress can and will do in this moment. So I'm not sure they're taking.
They won't do it.
Well, you're right. I'm curious, though, because you sort of raised the prospect there, Susan, of like the possible destruction of NATO if this military action is taken. But they're already sending troops there. There is a sense already that European partners need to find or reform a sense of alliance now. They already feel like the United States has put a middle finger in their face. So, Christina, do you think actually we've already messed up NATO?
Yeah, I mean, we've seen this time and time again with European leaders meeting without us, right? And I don't know how many years or how many presidents, if we survive Donald Trump, and that's an if these days, how long it'll take us to reestablish our relationships with our allies. I mean, when we have the leaders of the UK and France and Spain and Germany and Ireland deciding we actually have to have meetings because we need adults at a table and not erratic, spontaneous policy based on the whims of someone who obviously, at the end of the day, is for his own economic and personal gain. But just vendettas and, just real revenge of certain individuals for just his own personal gain. So this idea that we would invade Greenland, and don't forget, during the campaign, he said it, and of course, lots of Republicans were like, "Oh, he doesn't mean it. He's just, he was just throwing it out there," and he obviously does. And so it'll take us years to try and walk back the damage that is done. First of all, we're in Venezuela now, a smooth 25, 30 years just from this intervention from last week. So I think the danger still is unseen because Donald Trump has shown that he can't be a trusted.
Especially since you had Biden, who they thought, okay, we got back to normal, and then this country said, "Oh no,
we don't do normal.
We don't do normal."
Now you had that trust, and then it got blown up again.
Yeah, and they're not just meeting with each other; they're also meeting with China. There's been a nice parade of foreign leaders meeting in China for the first time in like 7 or 8 years. But Christina Greer, Susan Gilberto,
we didn't even get
so
to the Board of Peace.
We didn't get to the Board of Peace. Maybe tomorrow. We'll see. Thank you so much for joining us.